to you, darling. Fancy seeing you here. I take it you've come to join me on my excursion into my latest art piece that I'll be teaching, titled Hot Fiery Desert. Yeah, hot fiery desert. Yeah, we're gonna get into some nitty gritty stuff here today. But don't you worry, we're gonna make sure that you come out with the most spectacular piece ever. And no one is here to judge. Nobody is here to say, you can't do that. And if they are they picking up a brush and trying this out? I don't think so. So we're here to have an experience. Like I say for every session that I have, we're here for vibes. We're here to enjoy ourselves and relax. If you want to take your painting career further in the realm of art, you can. I'm just giving simple direction and an opportunity to explore a part of yourself that you've never explored before in your art craft. All right, so before I begin, I want to just go over the supplies real quick to make sure that you have everything and that I have everything, because I make silly mistakes sometimes. So, okay. You should have a flat brush and a pointed brush. I call this brush Big Ben, my best friend. He's going to be taking us on most of our journey in this painting. I'll say most of my paintings in the past, but yeah, we're gonna be putting him through it. But he enjoys it. He enjoys it. And we have itty bitty brush, small but mighty. I know this little small but mighty is a little, giving a little lean to the side here, but as long as your brush is pointy, you got it. Like, I still love my brushes. Even when they broke off, I still have unconditional love for them. Anyways, you should also have a paint palette. All you're gonna need is these colors, honestly. Black, white, blue, yellow, red. We're not doing the most. We can do a lot with these, all right? And keep in mind, I just put a lot of yellow because I'm thinking it's gonna be a yellowy type of painting we got going on. All right, and you should also have a cup of water. This magical cup of water has many magical capabilities, but we mostly use it for cleaning our brushes, and I'll show you some more little tricks here and there throughout our sesh. Alright. And finally, well, next, you should have a napkin to dry your brush after you're done cleaning it. And optional, but if you decide to not paint in your messy clothes, you want to paint in some nice clothes, which I understand. I like the fancy vibes too. I recommend these aprons because paint is not fun getting. And if you get paint on your clothes, it's not the end of the world. You could easily use dishwashing detergent, laundry detergent, acetone, but that's if it's really hard to get out. But if you have make a mark on your clothes, I would get it out as quick as possible, okay? So that is my spiel. And without further ado, let's get started putting some paint on the canvas. What's up? So if you want to take a moment to, take in the setup, this is what mine normally looks like. I like to put a tablecloth under. I get it from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 last time I checked. Just, always want to cover your surfaces. Like I said with clothes, it's not fun getting paint out. So yeah, here's a setup. And we're going to start first with our big brush, Big Ben, my best friend. And we're going to practice picking up our paints. So you're going to take with the side of your brush, with the side of your paint, you're just going to want to take a scoop, a nice big scoop. Yeah, just like that, nice hefty scoop. And you're going to land it on the empty side of your palette, just like so. And I'll say, taking another scoop. I will take another scoop just in case. All right. Now we're going to learn how to mix our colors. All right. So we're going to pick up some white. We're going to work in starting with our middle part of our piece. So we're going to take a scoop of yellow. I say the same amount of scoop of white. Gosh, same amount as the yellow. Golly, just one scoop should be fine. And then you're going to mix in a circular motion like that until you get a nice light yellow. So just take a moment to, mix that up. And then I'm gonna start with a circle in the middle of my canvas. It could be to the side end if you want, but this is where we're going to figure out where to put our sun. So you're going to take the flat part of your brush. Make sure that both sides of your brush is loaded with paint. And you're going to take the middle of your canvas and just start by painting a circle. If you don't get it perfect, don't worry. We're just practicing getting, that yellow, that paint on our canvas first. Just go ahead and, draw a nice big circle. You can even give more love to the top of that circle too, since we're gonna go more into that. So you can do little circular motions if you want. Alright. And then I'm gonna take more yellow. Take another scoop of yellow and just start balancing things out. And then this is where our mountains are gonna be. So we don't wanna paint the whole canvas. We're just gonna paint, just around. You can make a little wave over your light yellow if you want. And you can start making, waves going above that. Make waves going from the middle of your canvas going to the top. Make it be as squiggly as you want. Remember, you don't want to cover this part just yet. This is where the mountains are going to be. So, I'm trying to save you the muscle here. So I'm just painting my waves into my sky. And the more you go out, the less waves you're going to paint. Because you want to make room for those other beautiful shades that we're going to make in a bit. Draw a little line across on both sides of my circle, and then you could go over and just wave it out. That's what I call it, waving it out. And if you're yellow, if you notice your bright yellow isn't popping out from the regular yellow, you could just add another scoop of white. So that's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that my bright yellow isn't popping out. So just like to take, a bit more white and again, start with that circle and start painting out. That's going to be your ray of sunshine. Remember, you don't have to paint under it, but you just want to make it so that those waves pop out. Okay? And then you can go ahead and take another scoop of yellow if you need to level that out. We're just going back to regular yellow. And we're going to start to make some orange. So we're going to take just a little bit of that red, just a little bit. So I like to take the corner of my brush, just like that, where you could barely even see it. I literally barely poked that red with my brush. So you should have like a little microscopic piece like that. And then I'll mix that with your yellow. And granted, your color may not pop out immediately, and that's completely okay. We want to take a little bit of red because if you take a lot, it's going to get hard to come back to that bright color. So we want to start small with darker colors. Darker colors really pack a punch. Once you see like a little difference from the orange that you made from that yellow, you can go ahead and start painting waves on top of that, on top of into your yellow wave. So I'm gonna show what I mean. So I'm just taking my brush and I'm just, making more waves over my sun. You can go sweep back and forth if you like. You could have spotty waves. And again, we're just working our waves into our sky. So you don't have to paint all the way to the top. You can paint just in the middle. I say is a good spot to start. You can fill in the size of your canvas. Just fill that in. I like to blend it in with my yellow a bit. And then we're just going to make this like from light orange to dark orange going up. So at some point you may end up having just like red waves, and that's completely okay. So I'm just adding a bit more red to my brush as I go. Also, you're probably wondering, why is this weird artist wearing two different glasses on her face? Well, I make sure that I have another set of sunglasses on in the event I need to go out. And the sun is very bright outside, so I can only do so much without my glasses. The ones that I'm wearing right now aren't even like prescription. They're like blue light glasses because I'm always looking at screens with designing and things like that. So again, I'm just blending in my colors. Also too, if you don't want it to be runny, if you want your paint to run smoother, magic trick. So magic trick with our water. Make sure you take your cup. You want to dip your brush by the tip. Just a little bit, because you don't want your colors, you don't want the water to run on your canvas. So I barely dipped my brush into my cup. I'll go ahead and brush this over my wet paint. If your paint is still wet, you can use your water wet brush to go over it. Just like that. So that way it flows smoother. So I hope that helps. You may run out of, see, look at that. That's what happens when you drip your water too quick. So if that happens, I take the corner of my towel and I just pat dry that down. Alright, and I'm still going. Just blending in. Alright, and I think I'm ready for my next wave of colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some more red and add that to the mix. So now you should be getting like, some peachy colors going on in there. I'm going to start painting on top of that wave. You could blend it in also if you like. Again, I like to use my wet brush. Blend that in. Also too, we need to fill in our ground now that we have like a nice orange color going on. we're gonna take that same orange and paint. I'll say give some space right here for our mountains, but to start painting our ground. So if you run out of paint already, that is completely okay. I'm gonna show you how to make the color again. You're gonna take the scoop of yellow, just like that. You can even put it in your mix if you want. Let's say like it's still wet, but you don't have enough paint to cover that. It's okay. You could just go right on top of that. As long as it's like an orangish yellow type of shade like that, that is completely okay. Alright, so if we need space for our mountains, let's say draw a line right across right here, so that way you have some space for your mountains to really pop out. So you're going to draw a line across, and we want to make some room for our mountains in the front, our ground in the front. So we're going to paint, we're going to draw a line going from the side of our canvas all the way down diagonal to the other side. You don't really have to hit the corner if you don't want. I mean, you can, but I'm just saving you muscle here. So you can start filling that in, and that's going to be your ground. Okay? And then from here, we're going to, whatever shades we make for our sky, we're also going to add a bit into our ground to make it really pop out. I'm gonna show what I mean. So we're going to take our next round of red. So again, I like to pick up from the corner. You can pick up a bit more this time, now that we want it to mix a darker tone of orange. So as you can see, you should get like a nice, kind of like a hot pink. I'll say it's like a hot pink. Okay. And then we're going to make a wave, another wave of sunset on top of that. Okay, I like to dip my brush in a bit. Drips again, just remember to take your brush, your napkin, and just like lightly dab. And then you can paint over it if you want to, it's really showing. And back to our ground, we just like to add little dashes of that same color here and there to make our ground a bit more realistic. If you want it to be flat, then by all means go for it. But we also want to give some love here too. Okay, you can also add some waves in the sky here and there. I'll just take my wet brush, run that in a bit. Dark red this time around, good. We want it to get to just like a little bit of basic red. And we're going to use this red to not only finish up our sky here, but to also cover up our little front mountain. So I'll show how that looks in a bit. So we're just gonna top off. Well, I won't say top off, we're still working with that, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. But we just wanna give that final layer of red. Okay. I'm just dipping my brush in a bit. that same red. And if you ran out, again, you can just take a scoop of red and a little bit of yellow, like a little scoop of yellow. I don't think that would hurt. It's gonna be like a deep orange, but if you need some yellow, go ahead and grab some. And we're going to fill in this corner with that dark red now. And you don't have to fill it in completely, just like enough for it to kind of touch. Because we're going to like paint black on top of it anyway. Now I have to take my water again and just dance with them side to side. I'm just going to have a long dance floor right now. That's what my canvas is. The canvas is my dance floor. So now you should have your sky. Alright. And then we're going to add some shades of pink for our sky. And yeah, we'll call it a wrap on that. For the sky, of course. So I'm going to take a little bit of white with the corner of my brush. You know, I like to start small, just in case. And add that into my red mix. Going on now. And then you could go ahead and add waves of that into your sky. We want to wave in our painting and say hello. I'm just adding a bit more white here so my pink could pop out more. It'll take a couple tries, but it ain't gonna push through like that. So you can see I'm just adding in some wave here and there. I'm not filling it in either too crazy. Just fill in those places where I feel like the pink should go. And you should do the same. Wherever that pink should go, put it there. Feel it, embrace it, be it. And if you want to play around with different shades still, with like different yellows and oranges, you most certainly can. So I'm just showing an example. I'm putting like a nice bright orange into my sky to really start playing around with the different shades and different places. Just so, you know, to show what that looks like. It's obviously too like dark in some places. You know, I'll play around with different colors. I'll brighten things up a bit. Add some yellows. Yes, go ahead and enjoy yourself here. Colors, embrace the vibes. This is your painting, no one can tell you what to do with it. And if you're trying to get back up to a bright color, I take my brush and my, magical cup of water, and I just want to dip my brush till hit the bottom of the cup. And then you want to go and spin it in a little circle. You kind of do like a little dance. You kind of shimmying it up. I'm sorry if you got to see my armpit. I didn't mean it. Alright, and you want to spin. And I like to run my brush to the side of my cup to see if the paint is off. And it's not, you just dance it some more. You know, you got a little shoulder in probably. Of course, don't get your cup all over the place either, like your water cup. Okay, so It's looking like it's coming out, and then I'll take, you know, that extra drip you see on your brush. You want to take the side of your cup and just run it across there until all that extra water is gone. All right. Then we'll go ahead and take my brush and, you know, pat dry on both sides gently with your towel. And now your brush is fresh and ready for a nice light color. So back to what we were doing. We have played with some yellows, so I was going over those shades. Really make those lines known. Tell the world about it. Low if you want. And again, if you feel like that color is running, you could just, you know, dip your brush in the top of that water. Bring those colors together. Okay, so you should have a nice little sunset going on here. Okay, and also too, if you still have that orange red, I keep it, and if you don't, we're gonna make it right now again. We want to do it for the one time, so want to make sure that you clean your brush so that you can work with a fresh new color. Because I do not like to see people get frustrated, and when I don't clean my brush and I just go in for a new color, I get pretty frustrated. So you're welcome. Okay, and we're gonna take a scoop of red, find an empty section on your palette, and a scoop of yellow. I'm gonna mix those together so you get a nice dark orange. As you can see, I still got red. So just adding some yellow. And when you get that right color, you can go ahead and paint a nice circle right in the middle where we started with our first color. So I like this up too, if my paint is dry. And if it's a little wet, I just go a little light on my canvas first. So I like to paint a circle. Going around, it don't have to be perfect, just if you can see the sun, that's all that matters. I like to paint light. If my yellow paint is still wet, I just go over it lightly. Just like that. Alright, and we're going to play around with the dirt for a bit. We're going to have some fun in the sand. So, we're going to play around with some blue now. We're going to add that into our mix. So, I say if you still have some red, you can go ahead and add little dashes of that into your ground. Just like we did with our ground here, we're going to add some to our mountain. I'll play around with different shades of purples now. So I take, with my brush, you don't have to clean it, you're going to take the corner of your brush, okay? The corner. I'll pick up with that blue. I like to take a little bit off the top, so yeah, again, we want to make sure that we don't get too much. You can go ahead and mix that into your red. You should kind of get like a nice brown. And we're going to start adding some mountains. We're going to make the great divide between those colors we made. So I'm going to take the side of my brush and make a nice little trail of mountain going from one side of my canvas to the other. So I'm here to greet my canvas with brown, as we see. Hello! And then the great divide, and you don't have to copy me how neat this is. You can make as much of a bumpy little mountain as you want. Just want to take the tip of our brush and end off that slope. We're going on a roller coaster and we're reaching the end of that ride. Just like so. And then you're going to blend that brown into your mountain by taking, again, a little bit of water, just a little bit. I want to take a little dip. Happen to have ruined your line like I just did, don't fret. It happens. Okay, so I'm just blending in those colors together. And if you want, you can also add little dashes here and there. Make it look realistic in some spots. To add little dashes and lines here and there. If you want to also add some reds, play around with that mix, you can. If you want to lift that color up a bit more, you know, you're probably getting like Tootsie Roll colors over there, right? I'm just getting some, you know, different shades and just playing around with those too. Swooshing across here and there. Should have a nice little trail now going on there. Alright. And once you do so, I know it's looking a little crazy right now, but trust the process, alright? I got you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and clean our brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. We are not blending, we are cleaning. And actually, we're going to take a little break while we're still working with our, you know, our yellows, our oranges. We're going to make some little pebbles in our crown. So we're going to give Big Ben a break. Big Ben gets small breaks. But this is where Itty Bitty Brush gets its big break. So we're just going to play around with this brush for a bit just so you get a hang of it for when we get into our fine finishing touches. So if you still have orange from your sun, perfect. If not, literally we're just making oranges and pinks and little yellows for, you know, just adding some pebbles into our crown. So I'm going to take some of this orange so I can show you. And I just like to make small little dashes, like small little pews across. I don't know what else to call them, so I'm just calling them pews until I figure out what to call them. And then I'm just adding like little pews, little lines for my pebbles. So I'm just dragging, you know, a little bit here and there. You could add short dashes, you could add big dashes. We just want to get our mountain feeling a bit realistic, you know? So just add little swooshes here and there. If you want to add some darker tones of orange, you can. Just remember it's more red. Just dragging that color across. Or like some light shades of yellow, you can. You can add some little waves here and there. Just enough to make it pop out. And you don't gotta go too crazy on it if you don't want it. You can also add little speckles of, you know, that dark purple or that brown we made. Have some speckles of that in our mix. I like to add more blue to make it darker. Blue and red is the way to go. I like to straighten out my lines here. Again, you do not have to follow me. I'm just like, that will look nice. You know, you want to like be adventurous, play around with different ideas. If you make a mistake, you can always paint over it. Like, it is not the end of the world. And I'm just painting little rocks, I don't know. This is whatever you call it. This is your piece, and no one can tell you what to do. This is a part of your world. And once you know, get all rocked out, you can go ahead and give Itty Bitty a break. You want to make sure that you clean your brush. Make sure you do a little spin and get that extra water off. Don't forget to give it, you know, a little towel, both sides. Then we're gonna come back to Ben. Ben is like, okay, I'm ready to go in again. I am Rocky, I am strong, I am fearless. We're like, we get it. You're Big Ben, the Rock. The Rockies rock. Okay, so we are going to start with a nice light blue. I think that's the way we should do it. So we're going to take some white. We're going to start with some white first off. I'll go ahead, pick up a nice scoop of that with the corner of a brush on a dry area on your palette. If you don't got one, I recommend you get another plate. And I'll take another scoop of white just in case. And when it comes to the blue, you just want to take a little bit. Like I said with mixing dark colors, you want to take a little bit as you go, or else you're gonna have a headache like I have had in the past. And I love you so much that I would not want that for you. So you're gonna go ahead and mix those colors together now. Get that nice light blue shade. That's what we want, that nice light blue shade. Beautiful, isn't it? If it's still not to your liking, you could just take a little bit of blue as you go. But if it's fine though, don't have me stop you. We're just adding the first layer of mountain into our canvas. So I like to, let's see, we're gonna fill in where that light, that sun is with our mountain. Then we're even gonna cover the sun. So yeah, we're gonna start by making our mountains. They could be as bumpy as you want. Literally, I just like to take the side of my brush and make just little ridges, I like to move my body when it comes to making mountains. So you could even dance with your brush to make those mountains. And if you're not feeling confident bringing it from one side to the other, you could start on both sides if you want. So I just like to go up and down. You can take the side of your brush to make the lines straighter if you want. Yeah, I like to take the flat part of my brush too. That helps me with getting straighter lines. Alright. My paint is like still red too, so I'm trying to dodge that. Okay, and I'm just finishing off my first layer of mountain. Don't worry about filling in the bottom. We're going to play with different shades of blue as we go, so trust. We just want to make sure that we got that first layer of mountain covered. Because once you do, we're going to start going into deeper shades of blue. Which, literally, we're just adding a bit more blue into our mix. So, nothing too crazy. So once you get your first mountain, you can go ahead and take the corner of your blue, the corner of your brush with your blue, and mix that in with your light blue. If you want to do like a darker shade of light blue, if you want to do regular blue, it's gonna take a lot to get to the shade of blue that we're on. So I always recommend just start with the lightest color that you worked with previously and just add more to that. So once you get that next shade of blue, you'll start to see the difference between the both. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding my next layer of mountains. So we're not filling in the whole thing yet, but we want to make sure that we have space for all of our beautiful mountains. So again, we want to make it as bumpy as we want. And it don't have to even look identical like the first mountain that you made. So we're just gonna go ahead and add these mountains for our next layer. Alright. And then, once you fill that in, we're going to go to the extreme. We're going to make some dark purple mountains. So, dark blue, dark purple, there's going to be some red in that mix now. So, for that next shade, you don't even have to mix around these colors anymore. We're going to make that dramatic effect. So, you're going to take a nice scoop of blue, find an empty section, wherever that may be. I say 2 scoops just in case. And pick up a bit of red with the corner of your brush. Just like that. Go and work a little bit as you go. Just gonna mix those in. So we get that nice shade of dark purplish blue, I'm gonna call it. I'm just adding a little bit of red as I go because I know it's more blue than purple. I'll add some blue to make it darker. So I'm just playing around with different shades here until I get the color that I want. But have fun, experiment. Know what type of colors you want to have on your canvas. And once you know what that color is, let's see. Then I would say you're ready to add that next shade into your masterpiece. Even if you don't think it's a masterpiece, I'll always think it's a masterpiece because you went out of your way to come here and learn with me, and that's a masterpiece in itself. Alright, and you can even draw a line across to cover up, the blanks. And then just fill in the gap with some more mountains. It could be, again, as rumbly, as crumbly, as bumpy as you want. Rumbly, crumbly. That's what I'm gonna call this mountain. Rumbly, crumbly. And play around with, like, you know, what would you call this mountain? What would you call the sun in your world? Is it just sun, or is it called like something else? I always like to play around and explore what things are called in every piece that I make. I guess making cartoons helps me a lot with that. And just creating these crazy worlds, these crazy stories for these places. So now you should have an abundant looking mountainscape. Yeah, I'll call it that. So once that's knocked out, you can go ahead and dip your brush, do a little dance, and we're gonna give Big Ben a break. We are going to give Ben a break. We have put this fella through enough. Remember to pat dry, give him some love. Because now we're going to go into our finishing touches. We're going to start adding in our cactuses, our plants, our whatever you want to put in there. Well, we're going to be working with itty bitty now. All right. So we're going to take some black paint. You don't have to mix nothing. Like, I'm sorry if I traumatized you for how much we've had to mix here, but don't worry, you are good. You're in good hands now. So I'm gonna start with making a twig, just to show you what making a twig looks like. So I'm gonna you can literally pick like anywhere you want on this canvas, but I'm gonna just go ahead and, you know, work with this part right here. I start from the bottom of my mountain, and I just want to press down with my brush and slowly pull it up and out. And that is how you make a twig. If you want to give it more arms and legs and feeling generous, you certainly can. Do not have me stop you. You know, if you want to add more arms to that, that's all you have to do. Just add more lines on top of that line and have it all layer out. You know? If you want to make, you know, a nice wild bush over here, you can. Again, I'm just pressing down with my brush with my black paint, and I'm slowly lifting off into lighter strokes. If you want to go from big to skinny lines, you just press down, and you want to lift up nice and light for, you know, those lighter lines. Go back over them too. And play around with different lengths. You know, you don't always have to stick with the same length if you don't want. You don't even have to do the most when it comes to making textures for your branches, your bushes, you know. I'm just going to go ahead and make a little head of hair for this bush going all the way out. Just like that. You don't have to fill it up completely if you don't want, but at least make it so that it looks convincing. So I would say that looks legit. You can keep going if you want, but I got other plants to paint, you know. So you could continue to paint more branches here. If you want to add a little branch in the foreground, like in the very front, you can. Again, I'm pressing down and I'm pulling out. branches you want to give your twigs, your sticks, your desert wildlife. It's all up to you. What I really enjoy about this part is that you could go as crazy with it as you want. These are where most of my students get. I would say this is where their art pieces stand out the most. Like most pieces normally go in their own directions from here, which I think that's the beauty of it. Not everyone's paintings are gonna come out the same, and they shouldn't. I mean, if they do, then it's like, okay, I don't discourage that, but I encourage more when you're not afraid to make that move, to make that jump, to try something different, you know? So I'm just adding some twigs up here too. So I want to have some plants growing out, like some actual wildlife. Not all of these branches are gonna look dead. Only some, not all of them. Alright. Also, if you want to get ready to paint your cactuses, notice I haven't even gotten to the big cactus yet. I'm going to start small with the background ones just to show you how it looks. So I just start with literally, I'm going to start from the top to the bottom. So I'm pressing down and I'm lifting off. I press down for the arm, I lift into the body. So we started with the body, now we're making the arms. And you can make them as crazy as you want to with the cactuses. So that would be your cactus. Also make another one, just so that they're not alone. So we start with the body, and we're just going to make it some arms going into the cactus like so. Alright, now for the big cactus, now that you know how to make regular cactuses, we're going to find a nice spot around here and plant it from the top going into the ground. Or you go ground to up, whichever works with you. So I'm going to do ground to up for those that are like, So I'm just making a nice big line, pressing down, going, pulling up. To make it thicker, I go with another layer. I'm pretty much just making a thick line with this. And it's not going to be black. It's going to have some other colors pop out, but we're just getting it ready for, you know, the beautiful details we have for it. So again, we're going to make our arms. Pressing down. I want to make them thicker. So I'm just going over it again. I'll make another arm. Unless you only get one arm, then you're mean, but I understand. And yes, we're just gonna go ahead and get that bad boy ready to paint. I have to straighten it out a bit more so it's not looking a little raggedy, a little crooked, you know? So yeah, you should have something like that. Alright, so once you have that out, you can go ahead and clean your brush because we are done with the color black. Make sure you get all that paint off of itty bitty. I know I'll be forgetting what I call these things sometimes. Okay. Then we're going to start adding some plants. So we're going to add some green. So you're going to make, yeah, you're going to make some yellow. Take a scoop of yellow, put that there, and a little bit of blue. With you just want to kind of poke it. You don't want to go too crazy with it. You just want to like, literally, like you could barely see it. If you see that it's there and you could barely see it, then you're Gucci. You are good. You are great, my friend. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that. Get that nice green. It's a little light for me, so I'm gonna just add another thing of blue. Alright, and then we're gonna start by putting a bush so like you can actually see what that green looks like before we get into our cactus, but to also add some more wildlife in the mix. So we're gonna go ahead and start planting a bouquet, starting from the middle. Just a simple line, literally. That is all you need, just a simple line. And they're going to branch out. This is just like how we made our, oh, I got some black on my brush. Do that, make sure it's clean so it don't get in the mix. But yeah, we're just like how we made our cactuses, our desert life here. You're going to do the same with your bushes, but make them more full. So you want to add more lines coming out of your bushes. Going out. Once you got that knocked out, don't fret about the blue. Not yet. You're going to take, again, we're still going to work with that green. So if you run out of green, just remember it's like 2 scoops of yellow and a little bit of blue. And if it's not to your liking, you just want to add a little bit more as you go of that blue. As you can see, I went overboard on the blue, so I have to level it out. And once you got that nice shade going on, I say like a nice light yellow. We're gonna go ahead and start painting we're gonna give our cactus some highlights. So I'm just going to paint on top of my cactus here, just like that. Start making it pop out a bit more. Okay. Want to add some dark shades for your cactus, you can. And we're just going to paint the inside of our cactus. So I'm just literally making a line going down. And if your brush has black on it, I just clean it. Like I said, you do not want them problems. Again, I'm painting on top of the cactus here, dragging it out, cleaning, and I am getting my brush ready to start painting in some bushes now. So, you're going to want to take some blue, just separate blue, or you could, yeah, I would just say just take blue. And then we're going to start adding more leaves to our bush. So we're going to start, you can even start from the top if you want. We're just going to press down and lift off, press, lift off, press, lift off. And we're just going to not paint over all of our green, But we want to start to make our little bush flourish. So once you fill in, you know, all of what you see, just like that, I'm going to make a light blue. So I take a scoop of white, mix that in until you get a nice light blue, just like those mountains we made earlier. Go ahead and paint from the top of your bushes into the middle of your bush. Nice, luscious colors we got going on there. Okay. Now once you got your light blue, you're gonna go ahead and clean your brush. Take some red. Find an empty section on your palette if you can. And if you have some blue still, I take a little bit with my brush and add that to my mix till I get a nice brownish red. And add that to the top. Add that into my cactus. So I'm just adding it to the back part of my shadow. Adding it to my cactus here. You just want to, give your cactus some variety. It's probably gonna look like a Christmas tree, but it gives it style. It gives it class. It gives it that fanciness, I'll say. And then we're not going to forget our little plants here. Our little plants here have been like waiting for our attention. So we're going to put some, little thingies. I forget what they're called. I think it's buckwheat. I want to play with different shades. I like to add some yellow. Make like some nice orangish shades in there. Go ahead and fill in the rest of those little buckwheats. And there you go. Oh, you can also add some more rocks and pebbles here and there too if you want. Honestly, we're supposed to do this last, but here we are. I know you guys are probably wondering, like, when is she gonna play with that stuff? Trust. Here we are. Dogs want to go outside. I'm gonna let them outside before I go. But just adding those finishing touches here and there. It's okay, baby. We almost done. They run all over the place, I tell you. And last but not least, the hardest part of it all, out of this whole entire piece, we're going to sign it off. We are going to sign this bad boy off. So I like to take some white. You can take whatever color you want. Like I said, this is your piece, your creation. I want to see what you come up with. And I like to take like a corner of the canvas and just add my initials. And there you have it. Hot, fiery desert. Yeah, that's what we got. That is what we got. So that is our tutorial for the day. And if you enjoyed yourself, please let me know what you thought about this tutorial. If you tried it out, please tag me on socials. Mech Made It, Suplexity Studios, all that good stuff on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, so if you sat with me for this long, please give me a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to see more of these videos to keep popping up on your feed, that's what we need to do. This is a team effort. I can only post so much before I just start to, give out. So Yeah. But I hope you enjoyed this. I had a blast. I surely did. And if you painted with me, please, like, keep me posted. I want to know what you came up with. So with that being said, thank you for painting with me. And what's that thing Bob Ross said? Happy trails. God bless.